Welcome too late to the show. I'm your host, Prophet74. Today, I bring an Omen 15. Now, awesome machine. This one is a workhorse. If you're gonna be gaming, an 8 gig video card, it's pretty badass out there. So if you're looking for something out there to be gaming on the road, this might be it. Now, this is the actual power cord, and compared to other models like the MSI, even the Alienware, it's a lot smaller compared to it. The footprint's a lot smaller. It fits perfect on your backpack on the road. We're going to take a look at it. Not only that, we're going to do a little heating test. We're going to push it to a little limit, see where the heat comes out, how it's adjusting, and what's under the hood, and what can you upgrade. So let's go ahead and stick around. All right, let's take a look at first of the side of the computer. If you guys can see it, this is an SD card reader. This is pretty much a memory card. If you have one of those cameras or you're a photographer, this is where you slip on your actual SD card and you're ready to go. It'll pick up automatically. Now they do have adapters that you can put your micro SD card in there to the SD card. So, you know, those that are worrying about that have a little smaller chip, this is not to worry. They do sell the adapters. It does come with another USB here on this side. And of course we have the vents in here, and we're going to turn it around. Right behind it, there's pretty much nothing. It's just pretty much vents. This pretty much looks like a car from the back of it. All the air is going to be floating out to the back for the exhaust. That's pretty much how it works. The intake's on the bottom, the exhaust on the back. So let's flip her over. We have the audio jack right here, a 3.5. We have a Type-C USB, and then we have a micro display port here. This is a Thunderbolt, pretty much, for those that understand what it is. Mac uses it, so does other companies do. Also the Surfaces, you can find them on the older ones. The USBs, 2 USBs, and then they give you an HDMI connection, and on top of that they give you the RJ45 connection, the network connection here, and of course you have your power connection on top of that. So let's go and take a look at the keyboard. Full set of keys. You get 10 keys up here. All right, you got your Omen connections, you got your power, and pretty much all the connections. Everything lights up in here. You could change it to RGB lighting completely. They do have a in-depth GUI system that you could go in there and change anything else, from gaming to basic editing to just using it. So there's different modes you can use on the system, and a lot of people find different ways to tune it out so you won't be too noisy when it's running the fans, or actually too lighting up when you're actually in public. Or if you're in a meeting, you want this to be turning on like a Christmas tree, you could turn those off. Everything lights up in the system. Pretty much very quiet keyboard. I am impressed with how quiet keyboard it is. Now, this is all metal brush right here. It's all like a black. It's like pretty much like a smoke black color. It is really good making. But it makes it a little heavier because of all the metal in the back and in the front. And of course, you have your camera right in front. Can't forget the camera. So now those that are in meetings, we do have our camera and our microphones in the front. Now this is 750, I believe, 720 resolution. It's not the 1080, but it's a great camera for those that are doing some online meetings and training. All right, so let's take a look at the inside of the machine itself. If you can see, there is a 2.5 mechanical drive in here, and this is a 4 terabyte, I believe it is. So you could add even up to 10 terabytes. Just make sure you have enough space and enough thickness, because some of these terabytes that you keep adding, they get a little thicker. So it does contain enough space for a 2.5 mechanical drive here, or a solid state drive too. Also, you could include that. So that's that's a plus for those people that are using for space. This is a perfect solution for those that are traveling. Now, in this particular model, it does tend to overheat a little bit if you add a lot of like graphics or your gaming. The fans start kicking in, and you're gonna hear a little noisy, and that's what we're gonna do. Try to see how many decibels we could hear out of it. Now, you're gonna find the GPU and the CPU next to each other, but they do cool out with the same kind of copper framing that they have. Now, these are made of copper, but they're coated in black color, and they pretty much suck in the air and blow it out through the back, and you're going to see that constantly in every machine that you purchase. The battery itself is very replaceable, so it does have a couple of screws, and you do have disconnected, and you disconnect it from here. Pretty much here is the connection that you have to disconnect it from. So when you remove it, you disconnect it from here. Screws will actually be lined up with the MX right here. Here's another screw, and screw. That's pretty much what we have to replace. Now this one has a little thermal tape in the top. It's because it does tend to overheat. And now these do swelling up after time, or if it's being overheat or you're covering it up, they do tend to actually heat up a little bit. So just be careful at that when you're out there. M.2 drive in here, and let's go ahead and open it up so you guys can see it. If you guys notice, here's the thermal tape I was talking about. It's embedded in there, so this one actually keeps it cool also, but at the same time, you know, it keeps it down, kind of permanent down. So on this M.2 NVMe, this is a 1 terabyte chip, if you guys see it right here. Very simple to install. So basically you just come in here, and they only have one size. They don't, in other features, other systems, I've seen it that they have different inputs in here for the smaller versions, but they only have one size in here. And just basically just make sure that the copper's not showing up in there, and that's pretty much it. Once in a while, I would suggest opening it up and cleaning these two intakes right here, because if you don't, you're going to start seeing more overheating, if it starts shutting down more, it's because the thermal paste is actually drying out itself too. So you got to once in a while clean it up. These are the most important things I've seen on this machines. I've seen all these Omens. I have purchased more than 15 Omens throughout my career lately, and the first thing that always comes in mind that sometimes when these things go down is that the thermal paste dies on all of you guys, and this is pretty much what it does. And it's because it's overheating, not enough intakes. You got to come in here and clean it up. So that's my suggestion. So a couple things you could upgrade here. You go upgrade the Nic Card, which is the wireless card that you have in here. You go upgrade a 2.5 mechanical drive to a SATA drive if you want to, or you can replace a battery if it starts fading. So very simple to replace a battery, and the biggest thing that you can replace is actually your M.2 NVMe. Now, this particular model has 64 gigs already, 64 gigs of memory, and the memory are embedded right behind this plastic. If you guys, these plastics are very important. A lot of people have removed them, and that's the one thing I tell people not to touch this, because this actually keeps the air floating away from this particular model. And there's two of them right here. So if you need to upgrade, you can remove this and try to get some more adhesive or keep it down slowly. But there's two memory chips that you include, and this has 64 gigs as it is. I don't need to add more. 64 is the maximum you could add on these particular models. More stuff like this. If you guys liked what you guys see, let's continue on and let's go do the rest of the test. All right, running the test now. Run it. See if I could face this down so you guys can see it. And I could already feel it getting, like, there's some stress here. I'm going to run it again with the heat, with the thermal camera too. The moment we're at 133 FPS, 133 if you guys can see in the corner. All right, we're gonna do the test, see how hot it gets. It goes to 100 right now. And it's really getting hot on this corner right here, right next to it. So I'm gonna move this a little bit more down here at the bottom so you can see it, how much is running. We're gonna see how hot it is. If you guys can see it, we're going to 105, 108. So it is getting super hot right now because we're doing a benchmark as it is. So this is where all the heat disperses. Of course, it comes out through here on this side of it. So, and we're also doing a noise test too, so you guys can hear how loud it gets. This is behind, right underneath of it. Look how hot, extremely hot it gets here. 120 to 130. If you can see the blue dot, that's where it's taking out the air, and this is where it's blowing it out. And right now we're running at so there you go, how hot it gets to 127. So we're running pretty hot. This is right underneath of it. HP Omen Model T. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and please hit the like and subscribe. I'm your host, Prophet74, and we are out.